So you want to get your game from looking like this to looking like this. Well, I'm going to show you how to install GShade and also how to download and use my new GShade preset called Serenity. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Lauren, but you also might know me as MissLollypopSims. So before we jump into the installation tutorial, I just want to cover a few different things. The first one being that GShade does not actually work for Mac, unfortunately. Any presets that you want to use should work with this tutorial. That should also include RESHADE presets. I've added timestamps in the description of this video, so if you want to skip through to whatever, piece of information that you need, you're more than welcome to. However, I will cover everything in this video. And as always, if you guys can't figure anything out, make sure you leave a comment down below. But also bear in mind, I do try and cover everything in the video, so make sure you watch the video the entire way through before you leave a comment, because a lot of the time I get asked comments over something that I've already covered like later in the video. Okay, so first things first, there'll be a link in the description to this Patreon post that you guys are currently looking at for my Serenity shader preset, which will also include all the links you're going to need to install GShade and also to install my preset if that's the one that you want to use. So first thing, we need to download the software that we're going to need, which the first one is obviously the GShade download. So you can go ahead and click on this link right here where it says GShade download. It should bring you to this page right here, and as you can see at the top, you've got a little section to click download. Go ahead and click on that one. There's a Windows installer, so you can go ahead and install that, because I'm assuming that everybody who's using this is also on Windows. So with Google Chrome, this goes into a recent download section right up here, but you can go ahead and click on show in folder. The installer should have downloaded to your downloads folder. Go ahead and double click on that. It'll come up with a box, and you need to go ahead and click yes to allow it to make changes to your device. So once you've gone ahead and double clicked on it, it should say please select your language. You can go ahead and obviously click whatever language you're working with. Obviously for me it's English. You can click agree to these terms, and now you want to go ahead and find where your Sims game is installed. So from here, the video is going to split into two different ways of finding out where your game is installed. The first one is through the EA app. The second one is through Steam. So first of all, if you have the EA app, go ahead and go down to wherever your Windows Start button is. For me, because I'm on Windows 11, it's right here. Go ahead and type in EA. And here you can see it already shows the EA app. So you can just go ahead and click on that and it should load the EA app up. The Sims 4 is like my only installed game. You can go ahead and click on that, but don't click play, just click on the actual icon. From here, go ahead and click the manage button. Then click view properties, and from here it should say your install location. You can go ahead and click on browse right here, and it will actually load up where your game is installed to, which is the exact path that we're going to need to install GShade to. So once this loads up, this path might be different for you guys. Obviously for me, I have a custom drive that I install the Sims to, but for anybody else it might say something a little bit different at the top here. Either way, when it loads up to this folder, you need to go ahead and locate the game folder in here. Now click through to the bin folder, and this is actually where GShade is going to need to install to. This bar up here, you need to go ahead and left click on it first of all, which will highlight it. Then you can either click Control-C on your keyboard or right click with your mouse and click copy through here. And now we can go ahead and click out of this. Just go ahead and minimize it because you will need to come back to it. I'm also going to go ahead and get out of the Sims 4 properties on the EA app, and we're going to go back to the GShade install tutorial. And from here, we'll be able to actually click the browse button on target game or program. So go ahead and click on that. This will load up like a file explorer. You can go ahead and do the same thing where we left click on this little thing up here. This will highlight it. You can go ahead and click delete. Now you can either click Control V on your keyboard, which will paste it, or you can click right click and paste, and that will also do the same thing. It should say E or C or something like that. Games, The Sims 4, it should lead basically to a game and bin folder. Click enter on your keyboard and it should link you straight to the place where your Sims 4 is installed. The reason why we've gone about it this way is some people install their Sims to different drives like me, or some of you might have it to the default drive. So this is probably the easiest way of you finding out where your Sims game is. We've got the Sims 4 x64. It might say the Sims 4 without x64 at the end if you are on the legacy version of the Sims 4, but don't worry about it no matter what. It's just the one application file that's in this section. So go ahead and click on open, and now GShade has targeted the Sims 4 and where to install it. Go ahead and click the next button. So for anybody who installed the Sims 4 using Steam, this is going to be how you find your installation tutorial. Obviously, anybody who's just used the EA installation tutorial, you can go ahead and skip this section until the next timestamp. In your Steam library, you should see Sims 4. Obviously, you should already have it installed. Go ahead and right click it, click manage, and click browse local files. This will then direct you to where your Sims game is installed. You can see it has a big long list of wherever it's gone to. Then the Sims 4. In here, you should have a game folder. Go ahead and click on your game folder. go ahead and click on your bin folder. And through here, it should lead you to exactly where your Sims 4 application file is actually installed. Go ahead and click right up here, left click on this long line right here. It should highlight it. You can go ahead and click Control-C on your keyboard at the same time, or right-click this section and click Copy. You can go ahead and minimize this, and you should have the GShade setup already loaded up on your computer, and you should also be to this Choose Target Execution location. From here, you can go ahead and click on the Browse button on the target game or program. Go ahead and left-click in the same box that we were just in earlier right here. It should highlight everything. Click Delete on your keyboard so it gets rid of everything that was in there. Then go ahead and press Control-V on your keyboard, or you can also click Control and paste, and then go ahead and click the Enter button on your keyboard. That should direct you to the exact same place that you were just in 1 second ago, where the game's located. You can go ahead and double click on the Sims 4 x64, and that will route it so that it finds your game through Steam. You can go ahead and click Next on here and follow through all the rest of the instructions. Okay, so first things first, it automatically selects 64-bit because the game version that we're using is 64. Go ahead and get rid of the DXVK, unselect that, and click DirectX 9 instead. Now go ahead and select normal mode for the hooking. You can also go ahead and leave all of the optionals already selected. I normally always turn on Enable Desktop Update Reminder, just so that if there is an update for GShade, it will remind me and I can do it. And from here, you don't want to enable any of these Final Fantasy presets because they're not made for The Sims 4. Okay, next up, go ahead and click the Install button. Next thing that it'll ask you is please specify a folder where you would like your screenshots to be saved. These are the screenshots that you take with GShade, which is actually how I make all my thumbnails, my videos. I have a custom place set up for these, so if you go ahead and click Browse, you can actually select any folder on your computer where you want these pictures to be saved. I have a separate drive because I have so many pictures for media and then Sims 4 images right here. But obviously, depending on where you want it to save, you can save, you know, just in general to your pictures folder. You can save it anywhere on your computer. Just select whatever folder. If you're not really too sure, just go ahead and don't change this and leave that as whatever it's set to. All right, once that's done, you can just go ahead and click the Finish button. It will say, would you like to open the GShade quick reference? Say no, we don't need that. Right, so now GShade should be installed to your Sims 4 game, regardless of whether you're on the Steam version or the EA app version. You can go ahead and load back into that Tumblr page that I linked you guys to. Go ahead and click on the Clean UI link that I provided on the Tumblr page. This is going to link you to Vixated's tutorial. So go ahead and scroll down, and here you can see RESHADE/GShade requirements, and it says only compatible for RESHADE 5.8.0. So we can go ahead and click on REST version 1.2.3, and from here you can go ahead and click on the release.zip, and it should download directly to your downloads folder. Obviously, again, because I'm on Google Chrome, it comes up right here. All right, we can go ahead and close that. Because the version that we are using is version 1.2.3, we want to also match up our INO file to version 1.2.3. I'm using the Sim file share version, so you can go ahead and use that version as well. It will link you to this page just right here. Go ahead and click on the download button. Through Google Chrome, it actually says unverified download blocked. I think because certain INI files can change things on your computer, that, you know, Google Chrome just automatically blocks everyone. None of them that I've ever used has any viruses in them, especially like RESHADE presets or any of these things, so this should be completely fine. But you can go ahead and click on it and then click download unverified file. If your computer does the same thing and blocks it, just make sure you allow it through to be able to download. So now we should have both of the files that we've downloaded. One should be called release.zip, as you can see right here, and the other one should say 1.2.3 RESHADE effect shader toggler.ini. What we need to do is load back into where we installed GShade. Now obviously this will depend whether you're using the EA version or the Steam version. If you've gone ahead and already closed the game installation tab, you can go ahead and get it back. Obviously you can go back to the video and look at the tutorial on how to do that, but you should be back in the same folder that you was in before, which is the game bin folder, and you should be able to also see the Sims 4 in here. You should also see a GShade presets folder and also a GShade add-ons folder as well. We're going to go ahead and double click on the GShade add-ons folder. If you've installed a fresh version of GShade, there should be nothing in here already. First things first, we need to go ahead and load up the release.zip. Go ahead and double click on that. And in here, you can see we have RESHADE effect shader toggler Addon 32 or Addon 64. If your Sims 4 version is the same one as mine and it said X64 down here, the file that you're going to move to your GShade add-ons folder is going to be the 64 version. So you can just go ahead and drag that in and it will put it right in that folder like that. If your version of the game says The Sims 4 without any numbers at the end, or it says X32, in your GShade add-ons section, you need to use the Addon 32 version. But for pretty much everybody else, it should be the 64-bit version of The Sims. Okay, so now that we're done with that, you can actually just go ahead and delete this zip so that it's not like cluttering up your computer or anything. So you can go ahead and delete that. The last thing that we've got is the 123 RESHADE Effects Shader Toggler. Go ahead and right click on this file. Go ahead and click on rename. Now delete the 1, 2, 3 and the underscore. Go ahead and highlight those and click backspace on your keyboard. Go ahead and move that over to your GShade add-on section. And you should have both of these files in your GShade add-ons section. What these add-ons are doing, they're actually making it so that when you install a GShade preset, it doesn't affect the UI of the game. It doesn't make it too bright. It doesn't add any shadows over it. All right, last thing to do is actually install any presets that you've got that you want to use. So go ahead and go back to the bin folder. And now you can see that we have a GShade presets folder. Go ahead and double click on there. And you should also have an off.ini and also a custom folder. Go ahead and load into your custom folder. In here, you can drop any RESHADE or GShade presets that you've got that you want to try out in game. As you can see, I've got loads and loads installed. So I just try out a bunch of different ones. Now, if you want to use the preset that I've showed off in this video, you can go back to the Tumblr page that I linked you guys to. I've got 2 links to 2 different presets. One version is the gameplay version, which is a gameplay friendly preset. This also has an additional flair for FAQS, which I'll explain later when we get in game. And I've also made another version that is just specifically for screenshots. You're not going to want to use that to actually play the game. If you don't take screenshots of your Sims, you don't need the screenshots version, but you can install both if you want. I have both installed. If you go ahead and click on this link right here, I'm going to right click and click open a new tab just so I don't lose it. It will open up to a sim file share. Click on this download button right here and it will download to your computer. Again, because it's a .ini, for some reason, every .ini gets blocked. So you can go ahead and click on it and click download unverified file. I promise it's not going to do anything to your computer. There's no viruses, nothing like that. You're fine. I'm also going to install the screenshots version as well. But again, if you don't want to install this one, you don't have to. If you want to install both, you can as well. Okay, so back to my downloads folder. Go ahead and grab these and just drag them into the GShade presets custom folder. You can see that I've actually already got these in here, so I'm not actually going to already paste these over. That is it. Officially now, GShade is installed and your GShade presets are now installed as well. And at any point at a later date, if you want to go back and add in any more presets, if you just download a random preset and want to add it in, just follow this tutorial right here. Go to your GShade presets section, click custom, and just drag them in this folder. It's really simple, really easy. Now we're going to go ahead and hop into game. We're going to load up the game. I'm going to show you how to use GShade and also show you how to use the presets that we've got installed as well. Okay, so while the game's loading up, you should be able to see a bar right up here. It should say GShade, blah, 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 numbers. Now, for me, it says specifically, it's going to say the button that you need to press to load up GShade. For me, you should be able to see it. It says the pause button, which is actually a pause button on my keyboard. Now, this will actually be different for everyone depending on if they've used GShade before, if you've used RESHADE before, if you've already got like previous settings saved. But depending on also what keyboard layout you've got, it should say different things. Okay, so once your game is fully loaded up, you can see it's currently going through the loading screen. Make sure you don't press anything. Just go ahead and leave it to do its thing until you officially get to the main screen in 1 second. So when you get to this page, you can go ahead and press the button that was in that top bar that came up at the top of your screen. You should be met with this thing on the left over here. Now, it might look a little bit different to mine because mine's already set up with the settings that I want, but I'm going to go through and show you how to get it exactly set up as you would like. First things that we're going to need to do is select the preset that you want to use, which obviously I'm showing you how to use my preset in game. So we're going to be using the Serenity preset, but this will work depending on whatever preset you've got. Go ahead and click up here where it currently says off. Click in the custom folder right here. And from here, you can see all the presets that I've got installed. You might only have, the 2 presets that you've installed, Serenity. You might have other presets in here. Go ahead and click on Serenity Gameplay. It should also load up all of these shaders as well. Your screen should look pretty much exactly the way that mine does, except maybe it's a different color. That might be the only difference. So from here, go ahead and click on the little add-ons tab. In the add-ons tab, you should have RESHADE Effect Toggler Shader, and it should have a little tick next to it. This is to make sure that you definitely have installed correctly the RESHADE toggler that stops the reshade from affecting the UI. Now you can go ahead and click on your settings folder. From here, you have an overlay key. Now, obviously mine is already set up to be the pause button. Yours might show Shift F3 or a Shift F4 or a different, whatever button you've got. If you want to go ahead and change it, you can go ahead and click right here. You can see that it's got like a little, typing box over it. Click whatever key you want to open up GShade. For me, it's a key that I never normally use. It's on the completely opposite side of my keyboard. Don't use like G or F or something, because when you're typing, it will constantly keep popping up. So use something that you never normally use. The other button that you're probably going to want to set up is the shader toggle key, which is the button that you can use to remove your shaders or to add them on. It will basically turn them off or turn them back on like this. So as you can see, this is with the shaders off and this is with them on. So you can see the difference between the colors. This is so that you can turn it off. Sometimes I just like to be like, hey, look how nice my game looks. So you might want to set that up just in case you want to turn it off at any point. Okay, so scrolling down, you should have the screenshots section. And obviously this should already be set up to the screenshots path that we set up earlier in the installation. But if at any point you want to change this, you can go ahead and click on this little button right here. It will load up to your computer and you can just scroll through your computer and figure out where you want to save your screenshots to. In here, you can also set up a screenshot key. On my keyboard, I've got a print screen button. When I press that, it then takes a screenshot, which also includes GShade. Also, make sure that you've got show screenshot message on and play screenshot audio notification. That way, when you take a screenshot, it will look like this. It will play that noise and it'll also come up at the top so that you know that definitely it has taken a screenshot. And last thing that you might want to change is in the user interface section. So you can go ahead and it's right at the bottom right here. Go ahead and click open on it. Scroll down and here you can see that you've got a theme and editor theme. Go ahead and click on the theme, and in here you can select whatever theme of GShade you want. By default, your version should look like this. It should be red and black. This is probably what your version looks like right now. There is actually one, if you scroll all the way down, to Beck's Sims 4 UI, which is actually a version of GShade that makes it look like, like a Sims 4 UI. So that should be everything for getting GShade set up. So from here, I'm going to be showing you how to use GShade, how to optimize GShade for your computer, any settings you need to change in-game for it to work. Yeah, also showing you everything that GShade can do for your game. So first of all, we need to load into a game. So I suggest you do the same thing. Okay, so when you load up in game, it should be looking considerably different. Here is my GShade called Serenity, and this is actually the gameplay edition. Now, here is what the game looks like with the GShade turned off and with it on. Now, if you are using my GShade preset or any GShade or RESHADE preset, that adds in MXAO. If it has this, and it also has SMAA or FXAA, it might have one or the other. If it has any of these, you need to go into your options menu. So this is also including my GShade preset. If you guys are downloading the one included in this video, you need to go into your game options, go to your graphics, you need to turn off edge smoothing, and you also need to have post-processing effects turned on. So make sure this has got a tick next to it and make sure this is turned off. And it's the same for any other GShade presets that you download that have these settings on. The MXAO is what adds in the shadows around the Sims. So if I turn them off, and the SMAA and FXAA, those are both edge smoothing. When you turn those off, you can see around the edge of my sim, it gets really, really jaggedy. It does that on a lot of different items. So these settings are to specifically stop all those jagged edges and make everything look really nice and smooth. If you guys see all of these shaders that I've loaded in, they say failed to compile and they're in red, don't worry about them at all. There's no issue for you. They're not causing any issues in game. If they really do bother you, you can right click on them. You can click open in File Explorer. It will load up the File Explorer and you can actually just go ahead and right click and click delete on these and it will delete them out of there, and then you'll no longer have them showing up in red. Okay, so let's go ahead and cover my favorite parts, which is actually playing with the GShade preset. This is where it gets very, very fun. This is just assuming that you've downloaded my gameplay version and also my screenshots version, but I'm going to go ahead and show you some really cool things that we can do with both. So say you're currently using the Serenity gameplay version, and say for example, you just, you want to get a nice cinematic view. My sim is just sitting here, she's sunbathing. Maybe I go into my tab key and I want to get like a nice blurry background on her. In here, you can see there's a shader that says ADOF right here, and it also has caps lock next to it. So that's the key I've set up to use it with. If I go ahead and then click caps lock in game, you can see it adds this really, really nice blurry background on the back. I just think it adds a really, really nice cinematic view. It's very, very relaxing, and you can just turn that on and off with the caps lock key, and you can adjust it in game. I've also got a key for the MXAO, which is the shadows in game. And as you can see in game, for some reason, it creates all these weird shadows all over your sim. It really only happens when you go into the selfie camera or when you have your sim take a photo, but obviously I don't really like the way it looks. So I added in a shortcut, which is Control and S, to turn off MXAO really quick. You can go ahead and click Control S and it will quickly turn off the shadows in game. And then you can also click Control S and it will turn the shadows back on. So you can make sure that you turn them on and off, and you can check actually in the menu to see if they're actually on or not. The last thing about my preset that you might want to know is I even created a version that looks best in CAS. So let's go ahead and load up my simmies in CAS. Okay, so we just got in game. Here is my create a sim. We go ahead and press the button that we always do to load up the GShade UI. Obviously mine is the pause button, but you might have something else. You can see right down here, we not only have Serenity gameplay, but underneath it we have preset flares. The version that is currently selected is gameplay. You can actually go ahead and click on that, and there's a version called CAS. And when you're in CAS, you can go ahead and switch between both of them. It changes to have quite a bit more shadows on it. Now in game, shadows can not work in all situations. Sometimes your sims can have weird shadows on them. So I like to keep the shadows more turned down and not too strong. Whereas in CAS, I feel like the shadows, you can get away with them being a little bit more harsher. It doesn't create too many issues with having the shadows be darker in CAS. Yeah, you can see how it looks on my sim Amani as well. If I go ahead and get her changed, the shadows look like on her. We can go ahead and zoom in. She's even got the shadows around her hair. So that is the CAS version. Now you do have to make sure that when you come out of CAS, you change the preset flare back to gameplay. One other thing that I would definitely recommend if you're not going to go through and edit any of the presets is to turn on the performance mode. This gives a slight FPS boost and also decreases the load times between the presets. So definitely, if you're just the type of person to just go click a preset and play the game and leave it, definitely go ahead and turn this on because it will give you a little bit more FPS. But for any of my advanced people that want to go into a little bit more depth with a preset and know a little bit more about them, I'm going to be covering how to do that. But if you guys aren't interested in that, you can skip to the next timestamp, which is where I'm going to be covering how to optimize GShade on people that have not got as powerful computers. Maybe you go ahead and download GShade and use a preset and the game's not running very well. That will be covered in that section. But for now, any of my advanced peoples that actually want to know how to customize a preset for yourself, maybe make your own one, I'm going to be covering, the details a little bit more. So if you're not interested, you can skip this bit. Okay, so here at the top, this is where all of our shaders are selected. These are all the shaders we're using in game. And obviously, if you go ahead and click them and turn them off, you can see it changes in game in the background. MXAO changes the shadows. Curves changes the colors. Adaptive sharpen, which sharpens the picture as well, as you can see, gets a little bit more smooth. And you can actually customize any of these to whatever degree you would like. Down here is where we have all of the different options. So MXAO, right here, we have a sample radius. This is how large the MXAO is going to be. So if I go ahead and make it bigger, you can see round here, around the edges of my sim, it's actually making it slightly bigger. You can see I'm making it smaller, making it bigger. So this is actually changing the way that the MXAO is going to work in game. Now, it might look good in a certain picture, it might look good in a certain angle, and it might look good under certain lighting conditions. But when you have your sim go inside, it might not look as good. So for example, your ambient occlusion amount, this is basically how much of the shadow you want. So if I go ahead, for example, I've got it set to 2000, but I can actually turn it all the way up to 6000. You can see as I go up and down, it makes the shadows a lot lighter or a lot darker. So a lot darker with the black is fine. And I think it looks, fine from far away. But when you have your sim go inside in a sort of darker area, they can have a lot of shadows around their neck and they can sort of be all weird. They can have like weird squares layers all over them. So I personally don't like messing with MXAO or making the MXAO too strong. Do you see this weird like halo effect around it? For some reason that really bothers me, and I don't like having that on too much. So I always have mine set to about 2000. You also have, for example, let's go through curves. In here, you can see we have a contrast amount of minus 0.160. You can adjust this, you know, to bump up the contrast or turn it down. You can go ahead and play around with these as you would like. Some people who don't have as powerful computers struggle to run certain presets, and normally that is because certain presets have these really, really nice things that you might have to go without, that are the shadows. As you can see, my sim has these really nice shadows. I'll just go ahead and turn them off really quick just so you can see. I'm giving you an example like right around her leg, you know, go ahead and look there. When I turn them on and off, it affects so many different things, but the shadows are really nice. But the shadows, or the MXAO that we call them, is the shader that affects it, is probably the most taxing on the computer, and there is a lot of people that can't run the game with MXAO on. So if you're one of those people that is trying to use my preset and you're finding, you know, it's quite laggy, I don't like, you know, how it's making the game run slower, you can actually go ahead and turn off the MXAO. Because of that, I'd also recommend turning off SMAA and FXAA, because you won't need these anymore either since you're turning MXAO off. You can go back into your in-game settings and you can turn your edge smoothing up to whatever version you had it on before, low, medium or high, whatever it is. I wouldn't really recommend keeping it on off because it makes the edges of the Sims really jagged. Should make your game run considerably better because those shadows make your game run slower. Obviously, they look great, but if you want the trade-off and you want your game to run better, it might mean that you just have to compromise. At least you get all the pretty colors, just don't get as good shadows, which honestly I don't think is that big of a deal. Personally, I like having them, but if your computer can't run them, it doesn't matter. You can always go ahead and turn them off as well. But yeah, that's just a little like word of warning. Anybody that is trying to play the game with MXAO on, you might need to turn those off. Okay, so I'm pretty sure that covers everything that I wanted to mention in this video. So if this video was helpful for you guys, remember to go ahead and leave a like, subscribe down below if you are new. I also make loads of other Sims content, make Sim series, mods videos if you're interested in any of those, CC videos, and I also live stream over on Twitch regularly as well, where I stream The Sims. I have a really, really fun series, so the link will be in the description to my Twitch as well. I will speak to you in my next video, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the Serenity preset. She is my baby and she is beautiful, and I hope you guys think so too. So enjoy using her. Also, if you want to show me any pictures of your guys' Sims or your games with Serenity, and you want to show them to me, you can post them in my Discord. The link is also in the description. I've got a huge community over there with like 6,000 members. Everyone's in there sharing CC, chatting about Sims. If you ever want any links to my CC, loads of people put where can I finds over there, and they'll give you a link to my CC. It's very, very useful. So yeah, if you want to check us out over there, you're more than welcome to come join us. Anyways, I love you guys so much. I will speak to you in my very next video. Have an amazing rest of your morning, afternoon, or evenings, and I will speak to you all later. Bye guys.